January 26th, and the regular meeting of the Shelton Planning, the special meeting of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission is hereby called to order. That is being conducted entirely via Zoom. Protocol for today's meeting was previously reviewed by the Corporation Counsel, who indicated to me it is compliant with the executive orders issued by the governor and fair for those watching from a remote location. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'll start off with the roll call of the commission. Please verbally indicate you are present when your name is called. Commissioner Kelly?
Who?
Commissioner Kelly.
Oh, present.
Okay. Commissioner Parkins?
Present.
Commissioner Lascos?
Present.
Commissioner Motto?
Here.
Commissioner Ticky?
Present.
Myself, Commissioner Harger. Alternate Commissioner Onofrio?
Present.
Okay. Mr. Rossetti, our administrator.
Present.
Mr. Nappy, our downtown development coordinator. Who was on mute? Mr. Panico, our consultant.
Present.
I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Nappy just acknowledged he's here. Ms. Renasos, our recording secretary.
Present.
Ms. Charbonneau, our stenographer.
Present.
Okay, and for the record, alternate Commissioner Uso is indicated to me he's unavailable for tonight's meeting. A couple of points before continuing with today's agenda, which is a continuation of a public hearing at the beginning. Mr. Rossetti will act as a Zoom meeting host. While commissioners will be able to make comments throughout the meeting, the chair asks that you please identify yourself and wait to be recognized by the chair before speaking to make sure we're not all speaking over each other and to make sure our recording secretary is clear as to who is speaking. Just a reminder on how the public hearing will be conducted. Mr. Rossetti will indicate if any written comments were received from members of the public no later than 24 hours before the start of this evening's continuation. If written comments were received, they will be read into the record. Members of the public participating through Zoom will be recognized at the appropriate time to verbally give their comments. The applicant and/or its associates will make the presentation or supply any additional information since the opening and continuation that in November. The commission can ask questions during this time or at its conclusion of the presentation. The applicant and their associates can will after that, the public will be recognized to comment on the application. The applicant's attorney and or associates will be given the opportunity to address any comments or questions from the public after the last person from the public has been given the opportunity to speak. If the commission feels further information is needed from the applicant, the chair will ask for a motion to continue the public hearing. If a public hearing remains open, the commission is not allowed to make any public comment, discuss any part of the applicant's and or his associate's presentation, or receive any additional information from anyone. If the commission feels the applicant and or his associates have answered all questions, have addressed all concerns from the commission and or public, the chair will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Staff will then schedule a discussion about the application on the agenda of an upcoming commission meeting, and the commission will be asked by the chair at that time on how it wants to proceed. And as a reminder, go on. So the first agenda item is continuation of public hearing for application 2125 Shelton Plaza, Dominic Thomas for 265 Bridgeport Avenue LLC. Assessor's map at 265 Bridgeport Avenue, which is Assessor's map 92, lot 19, petitioning for a special exception application in a restricted business zone, RBD, on 0.67 acres for a 4,060 square foot retail and office building with a service station and on-site parking. And just to review where we've been with this, several materials submitted by the applicant were previously posted to the city's website. A special exception application, statement of use, architectural, site, engineering, and landscape plans, a property survey, and a drainage report. There were also comments contained in a letter from the city engineer. New materials were posted on January 24th, 2022, specifically a document titled Overall Roadway Plan of the Constitution Boulevard West Extension, dated September 29th, 2021, prepared by DeCarlo and Dahl. A traffic study prepared by KWH Enterprise LLC, dated November 2021, in a letter in opposition to the project from Mr. Ken Usel, the operator of Scooters Deli and Gas Station at 484 Bridgeport Avenue. This application was accepted for review on October 27th, 2021, and a public hearing was opened on November 17th, 2021. At that meeting, Attorney Thomas reviewed the three proposed uses: a gasoline retail sales permitted by site plan approval, a two-story building with a first floor 4,000 square foot convenience store, and a second floor 4,000 square foot office permitted by special exception. Attorney Thomas indicated the gas station and convenience store would eventually operate 24/7. If a second floor was built over the convenience store, the office tenants would apply for a certificate of zoning compliance. Attorney Thomas also indicated the applicant has applied to DOT for the ability to create breaks in a pre-existing non-access line. The applicant's architect and engineers further review the proposal. Mr. Panico indicated that section 24.8.6 requires a 20-foot green belt along all streets. During the public portion, 14 members of the public spoke both for and against the project, and the commission voted 5-0 to continue the public hearing. Mr. Rossetti, any correspondence from the public that needs to be read into the record?
There is nothing additional to what's been posted online.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Rossetti, are there any other reports that need to be read into the record from any city agency or department, such as the fire marshal, engineering department, traffic authority, etc.?
Nothing official. I know the city engineer is working with Brian, who's on Zoom,
Okay,
to address a couple things, but that's it.
okay. Very good. All right, so does the applicant have any new information or an update for the commission? And who is representing?
Yes. Attorney Dominic Thomas, Cohen and Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing the applicant. And this meeting is mainly an update, and I will update you on the timing and what's transpired. I will also note that prior to my leaving my office to come to my home office to participate in the Zoom, I emailed a letter to the chairman, emailed it to Mr. Rossetti, consenting to an extension of 70 days to complete the public hearing, which would take the extension to the end of February. Because as you'll see in my update, there's no doubt that this public hearing has to be kept open. So as the chairman pointed out, there were public comments. The public comments, many of them were from competitors, and this is, I stress again, this is not a zone change. One of the uses is site plan permitted. It's a permitted use. That's the gas station, which means a determination has been made that the infrastructure around is appropriate for that use. The other two are special exceptions. One is any retail in the RBD zone and office in the RBD, business and professional office. So that's why we're having the special exception and combined all into that.
Attorney Thomas, can I interrupt and just ask you to clarify a couple of things? The extension of 70 days, that started when, if it's only the end of February? That's like.
Okay, well, the hearing was held on November 17th. You're required to complete the hearing in 35 days. I
Okay.
counted 35 days, and then I counted the number of days until, actually, it goes beyond the end of February. It goes like to March 1st or something like that.
All right, so you started
just-
that timeline or the time clock with December something or other.
For the extension, yes.
Okay, and then
Um,
you said that the gas station is a permitted use and
The
it,
gas station is a permitted use. The other two are special exceptions.
right, but the point on the gas station is that according to our zoning regulations, it meets all of the
When it's permitted use, there's been a determination that the infrastructure around it is appropriate for that permitted use. However,
right, are you
this
talking
is
about the size of the building, the square footage of the building?
talking about the use, the gas station, the retail
Okay.
sales of gasoline has nothing to do with the building. at this
Right.
point.
Okay,
The building itself has the two special exception uses, but I was just doing that for the positioning. So there were people who spoke in opposition who were competitors. It's their right to publicly speak, but there were others who addressed issues with respect to traffic, and that was a focus, and some people pointed out some other issues, some of which were addressed by the city engineer, which is an ongoing conversation between the city engineer and our engineer, Brian McMahon, who was present tonight to respond to any questions. So as stated by the chairman, we had applied to break the non-access line so that there would be an entrance off of, or actually we asked for two entrances off of Bridgeport Avenue. The whole process at DOT, and I think part of this was because of the holidays and other issues related, I think, to COVID absentees and everything, it took quite a while. So it wasn't until January, that we received a letter from the DOT granting a break in the non-access line after it had been reviewed by everybody. I will tell you that DOT was also provided with a copy of the Constitution Boulevard overall road extension plan,
Mhm.
which I think played a part in their determination. So they allowed a break in the access line, but only one at what we call the north entrance, basically in the same location as proposed for the second entrance. The north entrance is, of course, the one closest to the Constitution Boulevard intersection.
Mhm.
So having received that, we requested of your staff that we have a staff session to address that issue and to address also the issues that were brought up by Mr. Panico concerning buffers and everything. Our engineer had already begun a revised concept plan, but we waited till DOT to do a revised draft plan, which we did. We submitted it. The work session was held about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, the end of that week. And as part of that work session, Brian McMahon held a couple of meetings, calls, whatever, with your city engineer, and was reviewing a lot of the plans, and he can comment on the city engineer plans and explain to you what they talked out. During the course of that meeting, Rimis, your city engineer, provided our engineer with a copy of a draft intersection plan for the new intersection, a plan that none of us had ever seen. And this plan, from my research, may have been briefly discussed with the state, but it is a concept plan by the city done by DiCarlo and Dow. It was important to us that we address it only because there is a substantial widening of Bridgeport Avenue taking place as part of the Constitution Boulevard intersection, new interchange. And part of it is that a lane is going to be added on the north side of Constitution Boulevard, on Bridgeport Avenue, on the north side of Constitution Boulevard, coming up from downtown. And then that lane is going to continue, and then it's going to merge. So we were taking a look at it because the point of the merger is somewhat in the area of the entrance. So for your reference, so you know this has been done before, I call your attention to Commerce Drive, Bridgeport Avenue, proceeding southbound, same thing. As you pull through, as you drive through the southbound, there's 2 exits. And then as you drive up, the 2 lanes merge into 1 lane. And there's also the right turn in, right turn out for CX Plaza. So
Do
it's
you
a
have something
simple,
to share on the screen? Do
pardon me?
you have something to share on the
Well,
screen?
I certainly can. I do have it. And before I do, let me just explain to you that all this is occurring within the last 10 days or so. So I also contacted last week, Mr. DeMauro, Paul DeMauro, who is the lead person for the city.
Mhm.
And as of a few days ago, he has agreed, and city representatives has agreed to set up a meeting to sit down and discuss this. As Brian McMahon is also developing and working on, which will be completed next week, our revised plans. So I believe if I can, let me see if I don't know if can you see anything?
Yeah, we have the plan that's titled SE-1.
Right, well, that's our, just to show you, that's where the break in the non-access line is, okay? Here is, hopefully you will see this. Can you see what's on the screen now?
Same thing.
Yep,
That
That's,
is the draft intersection plan that we were sent, extension of Constitution Boulevard West. So as you can see, blew it up a little for you, there's a substantial widening. There's going to be at some point in here, actually 5 lanes, I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes wide at the point as approaches the boulevard. And this is the lane that we're talking about right here, which is a through lane that comes off here and then will merge into the through lane. This is a concept plan.
yeah.
Apparently, from what I understand, it has not been reviewed by DOT. So I'm only pointing that out to it, that we don't believe whatever they do here, it doesn't impact us. We're still going to have our right turn in and right turn out, by the state, and that's not an issue, and that's what our plans are going to do. But in addition to that, the plans are being revised pursuant to the work session and the comments of your staff, of Mr. Panico, to address the issue of the 20-foot buffer and to address other issues, which we have, we showed them in the concept plan that will be done. So that concept plan will be completed and will be filed, not concept plan, I'm sorry, the revised plans will be completed and will be filed along with a updated traffic report. And that will be done probably next week. So knowing what your schedule is for public hearings in February, that's why I gave you the consented to the extension to the end of February.
Okay, Attorney Thomas, if and when you do have any conversations, to me, just looking at this for the first time, having the merge of the 5 lanes back into 4, we're in the area where it says match existing shoulder line, that's way before Cott Street. That seems that merge should end up being further down the road.
Well, you may have been having conversations with Mr. DeMauro.
No, I haven't.
No, the only reason I say that is I'm just telling you based on my conversations. But I mean,
Yeah.
again, this is a concept. You know what I mean? This is not our
Yeah.
plan.
Right,
This
I
is
know.
not our plan. This is the city's plan.
Yeah, it's and I will definitely I'll make it a point to speak to Mr. DeMauro, but if is that 5th lane intended just to widen the intersection? Because that was thought of before the application was presented. And if so, I would think that continuing that 5th lane further down past Cott Street would give the city the ability, with the state's approval, to have a center turning lane, so that if this particular application was to be approved, then you have people would not be bottlenecking the lanes so that they could take a left if they were coming from Upper Bridgeport Avenue into the complex. Unless they're planning on putting a traffic light at Cott Street for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think they are. And all I'm saying to you is that's why I requested the meeting
Yeah, that's good.
with the city to engage them in discussion. There are also issues unrelated to our proposal or moderately related to our proposal that are being bandied around, including one that was, I think, may have been also brought up in the city, but was suggested by our engineer also to dead-end Cott Street at the medical office building when they do the improvements, and therefore address issues. But these are all things that are being discussed. Regardless of that, our plans are able to go forward now that we have the cut in the non-access line, and we will be doing it. So the point is, I wanted to update you. I wanted to deal with the issue of the time frame. Brian McMahon is here, and the only thing I would ask Brian, and he's here to answer any questions as I am. The only thing I would ask Brian to do is just to update you on his conversations with Rimis Bossis, your city engineer. And in addition to that, I understand there is that Attorney Green is representing one of the adjacent landowners, and he has submitted a traffic letter, which he was kind enough to send to me ahead of time, which of course was yesterday, so it is not on the website. And I made it clear to him that I was going to be requesting that I had to be requesting that the hearing be kept open and was going to give plenty of time. And of course, again, that report was done before or without the knowledge of any of this, of the break in the non-access.
Right.
So, we're just doing an update with that. I would like to briefly turn it over to, I can stop share. I don't think there's a need here.
Before you do,
Oh, sorry. All right, I'll go back to it.
I just want to point out that while there is a drawing that appears on the city's website under this application number and referencing it, identifying it as DiCarlo and Dahl, it is not this one. It is a different one.
Right, no, the one that's on, that I filed before the last hearing, it isn't this one. This one, I filed this only during the work session. So I will put it on I will file it as part of the application. You asked to see it. The one that is on the website,
It's an
the one that is on
overview.
the website is the total Constitution Boulevard plan.
Right. Yes, and I want to point that out to the commissioners so they're not
Yeah,
confused.
right. This
And the
one is not.
section, this is an enlargement of just one section, which would be really difficult to see if.
Exactly, right. And I think I did share this with Attorney Green.
Great. Okay.
Just let you know. So anyway, I would now just call upon Brian to just
Excuse
go
me, just
over
for a
his
minute.
conversations with the city engineer.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly has a question.
Yeah,
Okay.
just for probably Attorney Thomas. Are both the cuts on Bridgeport Avenue, are they still in existence?
No,
No,
No.
Which
we
one?
only
Which
received
one
the
is not?
permit- We only received the permit for the northern cut. In
So
the
that's
location
closer
where it
to
is.
the Center Street, right downtown?
yes,
Closer to center, correct, closer to
All
downtown.
right, the one on Cott Street is still in existence?
Oh, yeah, that one is not subject to any non-access line.
Okay, thank you.
mhm. Okay, Mr. McMahon,
Good evening, Brian McMahon, licensed professional engineer with Redness and Reed. And to follow up to Dominic's comments, I have spoken with the city engineer a few times over the past couple of weeks. During those conversations, we discussed his written comments of November 9th. He has about a dozen or so comments in his letter to Mr. Rossetti. Most of them are fairly straightforward and minor in nature, easy to address. A couple of them, one being the second to last comment, which the city engineer had an issue with the two driveway cuts, which seems to have gone away now, except that in my conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, as Dominic had mentioned, the city engineer had brought up this plan for a widening that would extend down past and into the proposed northerly curb cut, that right turn in, right turn out. So it's something that we have to coordinate with him and his office The second comment that we discussed and that we are working on is some of the folks who spoke at the original hearing expressed a concern about the management of runoff of stormwater. And in particular, I was able to learn a bit more about the city engineer's concern over that and some of the flooding that has occurred in the past few years on the opposite side under some residential driveways along the brook on the opposite side of Bridgeport Avenue, just north of our site. So we are working through all of the comments, but those are really the two that we're trying to coordinate out. I do have a call scheduled with him for this Friday morning. I do look forward to the additional meeting and work session that Dominic mentioned. And I think in the end, I think we can address all of his comments satisfactorily.
Okay. Let me just see. Okay. I didn't have any questions on that particular topic. Go ahead.
No, I think that's basically our update for you. I would, hope that you would give us a date so that we know when we need, I gave you enough flexibility. I think your hearing dates are 2/16 and 2/23. I would expect probably 2/23, but that will give us plenty of time to file our revised plans and address any issues and have your staff give the revised plans a thorough review.
Attorney Thomas, could you explain why the applicant felt that it would be moving towards a 24/7 kind of operation for the gas station and why that would be necessary?
Well, when I draft my statement of uses in this type of situation, I put in the maximum number of hours, and that would be 24/7. Gas stations, especially those that are located near a exit like this is to a major highway, to have a tendency to potentially be open 24 hours. It doesn't mean necessarily that that they are going to do that, but it's when you're representing this stuff, it's better to represent less. I mean, there's no restriction in the regulation with respect to hours or anything like that, but it's part of your statement of use. So I usually put in 24/7, and if they're successful, yes, they would be open 24/7 for people to get gas.
My concern would be the juxtaposition to the residential that is right in the area as to.
There is some
Tail.
residential across the street.
Yep, and up and back.
Yeah, but that's way up and back, and we don't know. I mean, you know what I mean?
Some of it's not that way up and back. There's some right across from that medical building.
Right. There's some across from them. There are rental properties that are across from the medical building, but certainly I'll address that with the client. But again, I usually put in the maximum number of hours for the operation of a business, certainly overnight. These gas stations, there are others that operate. There's not much noise or something associated with the operation that they're doing. So.
Yeah, well, that's debatable.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that you got to keep in mind, especially with respect to those, there's going to be a retaining wall, which is going to block any lights or anything like that. The houses are not really, other than one house, nothing is really at the same level of this. They are well above it and well away from it.
That's good. I was just wondering, the commissioners should consider if the city should do its own traffic evaluation with the cost to be picked up by the applicant, a peer review.
This is Commissioner Picky. I would be interested in seeing that. I'd be interested in seeing more about the traffic that this would generate in this area and for the neighborhood.
Yeah, there is a report that's on file on the city's website. So it does have quite a number of pages to it. I printed out the first half dozen or so because it gives the background and a narrative, and it goes into a conclusion and everything, and then it gets into all of the specifics as to traffic coming from this direction and that direction and all that. So I would encourage all the commissioners to make sure that they look at that for sure. So
and there is an updated letter which will be filed on the website from Kermit Watt, the traffic engineer.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Did any other commissioner want to comment on that?
Chairwoman, I have Commissioner Parkins has a question. I thought I heard Attorney Thomas say something about having a revised traffic flow. Was he just referring to the entrance, the two entrances, or I know I was not present for the original hearing, but I did watch it in its entirety a couple days later after. And I do recall that there being a lot of concern regarding parking and people having to walk across the pumps to access the store and that sort of thing. So I was wondering if there was a revised traffic flow in terms of those concerns that were addressed
Mhm.
in terms of pedestrian safety.
Yeah, in the revised plans, there is addressing it. There are still spaces on the other side. They can be dedicated for employees. They're parallel spaces now. It would be easier, once the revised plans, you'll see it, okay? But that was one of the reasons why those spaces, along with the green belt, were made that way. They were made to be parallel spaces over there. But
Okay,
again,
and so those revised plans are up on the,
no,
No.
they were delayed because we couldn't do the revised plans until the state, we got an
Okay.
answer from the state.
That's
So,
coming.
according to Brian McMahon, they will probably be done by the end of next week and up on your website, which is why I was suggesting the 223 continuance, which would give plenty of time for people to absorb it.
thank you for that
The-
clarification.
Yeah, the traffic reference that I made was an updated traffic report, which I will file formally on the website, which was in draft form from our traffic engineer who wrote it after the DOT approval. In other
Okay.
words, based on the single entrance, the
And-
single Bridgeport Avenue entrance.
Thank you.
Very good. By the way, on that revision that's coming up, was there some suggestion at a tech session with staff that perhaps the location of the dump trash container be turned 90 degrees or something so that the loading area could be pushed back further?
There was some discussion in that.
Okay, all right. Where has it been determined yet where the location of the fuel storage tanks would be?
The discussion, Brian, I defer to you. I think the discussion is the fuel storage tanks are going to be in the area along Cott Street, in what is labeled a loading area, but is not really a loading area. The only reason the term loading area was used is that's where the dumpster was going to be picked up.
Okay, Okay,
That's
so-
correct.
all right. I recall that there was when another gas station up way up at the end of Bridgeport Avenue was proposed a couple of years ago. There was a lot of discussion as to where those tanks would be because it would affect a oil tanker truck coming in and when it was time to refill the tanks below ground as to creating a bottleneck there. So, and also on the SE1 plan over to the right, if I could read it. There's a space that is approximate limit of work. So the property extends all the way to the right, but right now or is that going to be changed on the revised plan to enlarge any of the parking, or it's going to stay as is?
We're over parked. We're not intending on blasting that. Down that end is ledge.
Okay,
So at this point, there's no intention to do any increase. There's no need to
okay,
either. We're able to comply with the parking requirement.
okay. So no expansion that way.
Right.
All right, very good. Mr. Panico, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
No, I believe you've touched on all our major concerns,
Mm-hmm.
just minor refinements. You mentioned the relocation of the dumpsters. If they could be turned 90 degrees and placed at the back of the site, it would allow the designated loading area to be shifted closer to the building by about 10 or 12 feet, which would give you greater protection from Cott Street and result in some differential grading, eliminating possibly some of that high retaining wall. But those are relatively minor considerations.
Okay. Just want to point out to the commissioners, if you haven't looked at any of the plans, there's one that is called Test Fit Plan. It's about 8 pages. there is one sheet that's TF-1.0. That is the test fit plan for first floor. You will notice on the right side, there is elevator access to the second floor. That is noted there, as well as stairs. So,
It was pointed out to me by the architect on that point, because you've had discussions on elevators, that under the new recent change, the two-story building had to have an elevator.
okay, what change is that you're referring to on the state level?
All he said to me was some change, very recent change in the building code.
Okay. That would be interesting if staff could get specifics on what that specific language is. So any questions, comments, or concerns from any of the commissioners?
Well, I think you brought up the question of a independent traffic study. I think where the public has had voiced the most concern about traffic, that might be something. I don't know that it's such a complicated situation where that makes sense, but in terms of satisfying what,
I don't know if you have to do a full-blown traffic study, but
yeah,
certainly a peer review to agree or disagree with the assumptions that were made on the original report would be.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think that might protect the commission in the sense, depending on how we go with this, but to have that a backup if that's how that plays
Well,
out.
If the commission has some strong feelings about the traffic that are at odds with the traffic study, then certainly if you're going to use traffic as a reason to take a negative action, you should have the appropriate technical support for it.
Mhm.
Well, I think it could be a reason to not deny it as well, depending on how that.
Yes, that's
Absolutely.
quite possible too. That's right.
Mhm. And just so everyone's clear, Mr. Panico, the peer review is just looking at the traffic study that has been filed and having this expert review it to make sure that all the conclusions that were drawn are appropriate based on all the measurements and such that are included in the traffic report.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Have we received any, I know it was mentioned about turning Cott Street into a dead end. Has there been any discussion with the city engineer or whoever is planning the extension of Constitution Boulevard as to whether that's a reality or not? Because I think that's a major factor in this application, to me anyway.
Mhm. Absolutely.
It's been mentioned, when I mentioned it to the city engineer, and when I mentioned it to Mr. DeMauro, I got the impression that there may have been some discussion about dead-ending Cott Street at some level, that did not involve Dominic in the discussion, but there was some discussion. What I was talking about is something that Brian had pointed out and explained to me in engineering details, because it says JD after my name and not PE. So he explained it to me how it could be accomplished. There were certain issues that need to be addressed, but if you remember, you're familiar with Cott Street, the point ends at the medical building has like a horseshoe driveway and parking right there. So it potentially could be incorporated. I don't know, I haven't heard how anybody does, but I mean, the reception was good, but it would have to be part of, if you remember the plan, which is on the website, the overall plan of Constitution Extension, Constitution Boulevard, a portion, a few hundred feet at least, if not more, of Cott Street is to be redone. Is to be, if you look at the plan. So they're going to be improving Cott Street and what is the other one on the other side?
The upper.
Yeah, they're going to be improving portions of those two roads.
Mhm. I'm very glad that Mr. Rossetti put this GIS up on the screen, because I was just about to ask, so everyone can see that there are a number of households whose access would have to come through Constitution Boulevard or in Blacks Hill Road area to get to their property. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear that this is just a thought. This is not a definitive thing. There would be a long way to go
Yeah,
To get to that point, this is something that was brought up by Mr. McMahon to Attorney Thomas, and just something that, like everything else, that we get a lot of, well, what about this and what about that? How?
well, it's something the city would have to do. It
Absolutely.
was just discussed. It's not
Yeah.
it's something the city would have to do and make a decision on it. The only thing we were pointing out is the plan for Constitution Boulevard. And I'm not sure exactly where, if Alex could slide the down a little bit, the plan for Constitution Boulevard, no, the other way. I do know, I believe, approximately so when you up there is where you see the words Cott Street. I think at least to that point, and maybe a little beyond, Cott Street is going to be improved as part of the Constitution Boulevard construction.
Yeah, I just want to assure the residents of the area, this is not something that is like eminent at all.
No,
But
it's not even,
it should-
well,
it should
Constitution
really
Boulevard is
look
eminent.
Yeah, that is, but not,
Constitution Boulevard is eminent. Yeah, but
Otherwise,
none of what
Cott
we're
Street is
talking
a
about is that.
potential shortcut.
yes, it would,
Exactly.
It would be.
yeah.
Yes.
All
But
right,
that
so-
can't, I guess what Attorney Thomas is saying is that it can't be considered part of this application because it's an
Right.
unknown
No.
and
It's
out of
not
their
part of it.
control.
Right. Okay, anybody else have any comments, questions, or concerns for the applicant? Okay, so we have that letter of extension for end of February, beginning of March from the applicant. I don't believe we have to have any motion to accept it, or, but is the motion to continue the public hearing in order then? I would think, Mr. Panico?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if there are any other comments, questions, or concerns of the, does somebody
Public.
from the, oh,
Public.
I'm sorry, I'm skipped over a page. So, Mr. Rossetti, who do we have waiting for, from the public?
Well, now we would just ask if there's anyone from the public who would like to speak up. Please raise your hand. Looks like we've already got someone raising their hand.
Mhm.
So Esme Snyder, if you could please identify your name and address for the record.
Okay, and before we do go into identifying and people from the public, I do want to make sure that the members of the public who are here to speak tonight or just listening in are aware of these guidelines for members of the public in a public hearing. After you're identified by Mr. Rossetti, as he asked, state your name and address. If you have a difficult last name, please spell it. So to assist the recording secretary and the stenographer when doing the minutes and the transcript of the public hearing. All comments and questions from the public are to be directed to the chair and the chair only, not to the applicant and or his associates. No dialogue is permitted between the public and the applicant or any of the applicant's associates. And comments from the public should address specific criteria of the zoning regulations and the merits of the application. Any comments from the public should be new information and not a repeat of comments previously presented. And unless a member of the public has new comments or questions of the chair, members of the public who wish to address the commission are asked to briefly indicate whether or not they are in agreement with previous speaker and not repeat the same testimony. Also, members of the public are expected to practice appropriate etiquette by being quiet, observant, and respectful. Disruptive attendees may be removed from verbally participating. After all members of the public who participate today finish addressing the commission, the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to public comments or questions. And after the applicant and his associates have concluded the presentation, they've answered all questions, they've addressed all concerns from the commission and public, and if no further information is needed by the commission, I'll ask for a motion to close, but seeing that we already have a letter of extension, we will not be moving in that direction today. So I'll ask for a motion to keep the public hearing open. And so Mr. Rossetti's indicated there is at least one person, so I'll go ahead and recognize Esme Snyder for the comments.
Yeah, my name is Esme Snyder. I live at 59 Blacks Hill Road. And I was wondering if anything about the nature of crime has been addressed here. That is vis-a-vis a gas station that is residing very close to an entrance and an exit to a fairly major roadway, Route 8.
Mhm.
And the 24/7 aspect of that, I think could be a little bit inviting to people. And the other question I have, has anybody researched in general the health effects of a gas station, diesel fumes, gas, cars idling, that kind of thing rising up into the air, flowing over my house and my neighbors' houses?
Mhm.
So those are my two questions.
Very good. Okay. And we'll continue on with anybody else from the public. Is there anybody else from the public? Mr. Rossetti?
Yep, we have a person representing Stellar's Garage.
Okay, and could the person representing Stellar's Garage identify himself for the record with his address, please?
You're speaking with Kevin Reichelt at
Okay.
110 Bridgeport Avenue.
Go ahead, Mr. Reichelt.
One of my concerns, it's has been addressed but hasn't really been resolved or really informative, is the increased water flow by gallons per minute and increased heavy rains to Burying Ground Brook. It's well known that that water flows right downtown. It flows underneath one of our buildings, and it has seen, with recent development and more increased development on Constitution Boulevard South, all the water flows into that. With the addition of Constitution Boulevard West, it's only going to increase that, and nobody in the town or the state has really reevaluated Burying Ground Brook, at least since the 1988, since I've been here.
Mhm.
A huge
Okay.
concern. And one of the other things I like to address is the access of the trucks, delivery of goods, trucks accessing or delivery for fuel. There should be large barriers to prohibit parking on the sidewalk of Bridgeport Avenue to avoid accidents from blocking view. I do not own, or nor am I still involved with Bridgeport Avenue Shell, but I do towing, and we have quite a few accidents with that type of problem on Bridgeport Avenue at the Shell location. It's only going to be increased. Up the road is a 45-mile-an-hour zone. This is a 30-mile-an-hour zone. So we will, without a doubt, see increased accidents with vehicles parked on Bridgeport Avenue, large vehicles, small Coca-Cola vehicles, whatever kind of larger vehicles you're talking about. That's a concern. The increased traffic and the accidents is going to happen. And I'm not really quite concerned, or I'm not sure if that is zoned properly for automotive use or for service station use. And I don't know if that's been addressed for the zoning of that area.
Okay,
So those are my concerns. I thank you very much for my time.
you're very welcome, Mr. Reichelt. Could you spell your last name for the,
Correct. It's Reichelt, Reichelt.
okay, very good. All right, so anybody else from the public, Mr. Rossetti?
Yep, looks like we got one more person raising their hand. If Ahmed or Ahmed, if you'd like to speak up.
Okay,
Yes. My
Go
name
ahead.
is Ahmed Ibrahim, last name Ebrahim. Actually, I am one of the developers, the owners of Shelton Plaza. And actually, I do not live in Shelton yet, but half of the owners already live in Shelton with their families. I just speaking to say very quickly, number one, to thank all the commissioners for their time and for the process that we absolutely respect. And we definitely will follow the process all the way till the end. Definitely Attorney Thomas and Mr. McMahon will follow the process to address all the concerns of you and for the public. I just want to thank you. That's number one. Number two, I just want to assure everyone that we are here just to be part of this incredible economic development. that has been going in the city of Shelton for recent few years. We are here to be a good citizen in the city of Shelton, to add to the economic activity, bring more money, bring more jobs. As the economists say, that just to increase the economic pie, so to speak. We're not here to compete with anybody, but to add more money and more economic activity for the benefit of everybody. We definitely will follow the process till the end. We appreciate all the concerns about traffic and any other concerns. We will definitely work with you, with the city, to address all these concerns all the way to the end. We are here to be a good citizen in the city, to be part of this economic activity again. And we just want to thank you for the process. Thank all the commissioners, and thank the city hall and the mayor for their support. And hopefully we'll be part of the city and join the family very soon. Thank you very much again.
Very good. Thank you for your comments, sir. Anybody else, Mr. Rossetti?
It doesn't look like it, but if there's anyone else who would like to speak up, please feel free to raise your hand now.
There is a message on the chat, Mr. Rossetti. Could you check that, please?
The chat is not part of the record. Please.
No, I
raise your
know, but
hand.
there's a question that came.
I am not going to acknowledge the chat. I meant to disable it. I cannot acknowledge the chat. Oops.
Okay.
Hang on one second. Hi, is this Joel?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Is it Attorney Green?
Yes, thank you. Chairman Harper, members of the commission, staff. My name is Joel Green. I appear before you this evening on behalf of a number of parties, but for the purposes of the record, I appear on behalf of 99 Bridgeport Avenue LLC. I am just logging in to confirm that the public will have an opportunity to address the commission at the continuation of the public hearing after the various new materials are submitted. And
Yes.
I just want to ensure that.
Yes, you will. We have done that in the past. Once new information is shared, it's definitely the protocol that the public would be able to comment on that.
All right, well, thank you. And on that basis, then I'll defer my comments to the next meeting of the commission. And thank you for your patience and for answering that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rossetti, anything else? Anybody else?
If there's anyone else that would like to speak up, please click the raise your hand button and you would be acknowledged. Otherwise, we will continue on.
All right, seeing that there's no one else, Attorney Thomas, do you want to have a response to any of the concerns addressed raised by the public?
Just to very quickly, the issue with Bearing Ground Brook has been pointed out by your city engineer, and our engineer will be addressing it. As you are aware, your stormwater requires us to reduce the amount of flow off the site or keep people, address your stormwater drainage thing. So he'll be addressing that and doing that. Obviously, we can't comment on what Constitution Boulevard is doing. That's not our prerogative. And as far as the zoning, yes, a gas station is a permitted use in the RBD zone.
Okay.
So that was really it.
When you talk about a gas station, are we talking automotive repair or just the pumping of gas? That, I mean, does that need to be?
It could encompass automotive repair, but we're not, this is just a portion of it. We don't have to have automotive repair with it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And there is no plans to have automotive repair.
Of course not. No.
No, the first floor of that proposed building is for retail sales of
Convenience store. I suppose the very possibly the clerk in there may repair a Hot Wheels car, but that's about the extent of it.
Okay, we'll give you that one. Okay, Mr. Panico, you have any comments?
No, not at this point.
Okay, No further response, Attorney Thomas?
No, I think
Okay.
we'll address, and I will state for the record that not only posting it on the website, but I will provide Attorney Green with copies so he won't have to go on the website to do it. I will ask this, if you are going to do the peer review, I would appreciate so that we can move, that if you make the decision quick enough, obviously you've got an abundance of choices of the ones that have appeared before you, Malone and McBroom and others, you know what I mean? Taj and Bond, you know, and everything that you can do it with. But if the quicker you move with it, we'd like to make sure we get the peer review at least a week ahead of time, so our traffic engineer can then respond to whatever any issues are.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rossetti, let me ask your opinion. Is that something that we could have on the agenda for discussion before the end of February, or is that something that we should just get the authorization from the commission with staff being responsible for picking an appropriate
I
peer
would
review?
ask, yeah, that the commission decide that now, and then we can try and get the ball moving as far as a peer review.
But
That's
we'll-
for consensus.
Yes, but if that would be it would be with the fact that staff would be authorized to choose an appropriate
Correct.
company to do that. Okay, so what's the consensus on that particular item? Is peer review to be done with staff choosing an appropriate engineering firm to review the traffic report that's been submitted?
Commissioner Parkins in favor.
Okay, thank you. And,
Commissioner Kelly's in favor too.
okay,
And Commissioner Matto?
very good. Commissioner Laskos,
Yes, in favor.
Commissioner Tiki?
Sure, in favor.
Okay, and I would be in favor as well. So staff is authorized to conduct or to,
Commission.
yeah, to engage the services of a engineering firm to conduct a peer review of the traffic report that has been filed by the applicant.
If I can make a suggestion, Dave
Not just
Sullivan,
the,
at
not
my
just the
own
traffic
room.
report that
Well,
has
I
been
didn't say,
submitted.
wait a minute,
Okay.
I'm running the meeting.
Okay,
Attorney, Mr. Panico, what were you saying?
what I was saying is Dave Sullivan of Malone and McBroom has extensive experience in the city of Shelton, especially along the Bridgeport Avenue corridor.
Okay, so that's
Seemed
one
like,
suggestion.
His background would be very helpful in facilitating the peer review.
Okay. All right, now Attorney Thomas, you were gonna
and
say,
just, you said that has been submitted. There will be an update formally
Okay.
submitted, so it's the traffic reports with an S at the end.
okay, thank you for clarifying that. So is there any commissioner that would disagree with that the peer review would be conducted after the other report is filed?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I would just make sure that, as to Tony's point, somebody that's much more familiar, but based on the time frame that we're looking to have this done is going to be a factor too, right? Depends on his availability.
mm-hmm. That's who would, who eventually does it.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So if there's nothing else further that we have to discuss, is there a motion to continue the public hearing on application 2125?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner Parkins.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Tiki will second.
Thank you. So on the motion to continue the public hearing for application 2125 from Commissioner Parkins, seconded by Commissioner Tiki, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion has passed 6-0. Okay, moving on. Our only other agenda item is under other business, and it's the approval of the January 11th, 2022 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to the January 11th minutes?
Chairwoman, Commissioner Parkins, just on when I was giving a quick update on the Shelton Economic Development Commission and mentioned that it's comprised of I don't recall saying large businesses, but if I did say that, it was an incorrect statement. It's really just businesses that are form the membership. It's not just large.
Right.
There's
Okay.
all sizes. So just to
Alright.
strike the word large.
All right, so that's on page 5 under item D in the third typed line. All right, so strike the word
Large.
Okay. Anybody else?
This is Commissioner Laskos. Under Tom Harbinson's comments.
Yes, go ahead.
Said for land purpose, and I think he meant purchase.
Oh, okay. Good catch. All right. Any other commissioner find that to be not to be the appropriate change? I think that's
It was a good catch. I didn't catch that.
yeah, that's a hard to hear some of those things. Okay, anybody else? All right, seeing that there is no one else commenting on any changes or corrections, is there a motion to approve January 11th minutes as amended?
Commissioner Parkins will make that motion.
Okay, this motion to approve
Approve as
as
amended.
amended from Commissioner Parkins. Is there a second?
Commissioner
I'll
Ticky.
second. Oh, sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
You can have it.
All right. Let's see, a second from Commissioner Motto.
Oh.
All right. Is that okay?
That's perfect. Fine.
Okay. All right, so on the motion to approve the January 11th minutes as amended, made by Commissioner Parkins and seconded by Commissioner Motto, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion has passed 6-0. All right, well, seeing that there is no other agenda items, the chair declares the meeting adjourned as of 7:04 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at our next commission meeting on February 8th. Have a good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.